Back to Court TV Live. We want to turn our attention now to Pima County, Arizona, where we are expecting a news conference to begin at any moment, 1:30 Eastern Time. There's a live look inside the Sheriff's Department there and the podium. As soon as the sheriff steps up, we will go in live. For the latest on the search for Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie. She has been missing since the early morning hours of Sunday morning. And still, and that may change in the next minutes or two, but from what we have last been told, she is still missing, and the search is obviously desperate. She is in need of medication, daily medication, which she has now missed for more than 48 hours, and there is grave concern with family and friends about the safety and what has happened to Nancy. 84 years old. She was dropped off by family members at her house where she lived alone Saturday night. And by Sunday, when she didn't show up to church, that's when the concern began. And by noon, 911 was called, and the search continued and started. There was a full search of the property. She's 84, and she's mentally very acute. They say she's sharp as a tack, but physically she has limitations. So the idea that she left on her own accord, there's zero chance of that. She left behind her phone, wallet, all of her personal effects. And there were disturbing things at the scene which led authorities to designate it as a crime scene almost instantly. So now we wait for the latest. Let's bring in Marie Prayer as we wait. And Marie, I'll cut you off as soon as I see the sheriff get up there to the podium. This has to be just an absolutely excruciating time for Savannah and her entire family, waiting for word with their mother missing.
Absolutely. And as I was on break and I was thinking, you know, what are the different scenarios? I know we discussed a random abduction. I'm thinking, did she have cameras around her house? If she didn't, were there neighbors who could see somebody coming on foot, vehicles driving away, strange people out of place for the neighborhood? Because I know they're looking at all of those things. And even her devices, she left her phone behind. I don't think that it was anything personal with her that triggered whoever did that. But it sounds like there was some sort of a panic in the house with her presence after they dropped her home and something happened. And I have a sick feeling in my stomach, like a feeling of doom because of her age, the fact that she needs medication and the fact that they saw traces of blood in the house. I know the reporters are going to bombard the people holding the press conference with questions. I have the same questions too. I'm hoping that cameras belonging to other people could at least show a vehicle, a person, a shadow, or something that could lead them to what happened here.
Yeah, we do know that there's some reporting that her pacemaker, which was attached to her iWatch, became unattached that at around 2 a.m. on Sunday morning, which would lead one to believe that that would be the time that she may have been woken up out of bed. Can you imagine being in your bed, in your home, feeling safe, falling, fast asleep, and somebody coming into your home and removing her, coming into the home. Okay, maybe they were looking to steal. Why would you take an 84-year-old woman? Why would you, if you came across someone in a house that maybe you thought was vacant, that just doesn't seem to register. There's a lot of questions here. There is a map of the home that kind of lays out that there's a fair amount of space in between the houses. She did live alone. This is just outside of Tucson. And, but, this is a neighborhood, but there's space. You can see that, it's not as if the neighbors are right there. But if any of those other houses, Marie, you would think around 2 a.m., you're at least going to get someone with a camera system that picks up someone driving down the road. Maybe they get a car, and that's all they would need. They are looking into all of the surveillance opportunities in the area, and they have been now since this began. But boy, one would think that could be, unless there's a tip, that could be a way to really get a break in a case like this.
I think they probably have been looking at surveillance from ring cameras from other houses in the neighborhood, even if she didn't have one. And I'm thinking, you just mentioned she had a pacemaker, so she must have a history of some cardiac disease. I used to be a visiting nurse while I was an attorney. And if I visited an elderly person like that with cardiac history and they have supportive family systems, I would recommend some sort of alarm that they could use if they had a cardiac episode in the middle of the night. I wonder if such a thing existed for her. Almost like a I've fallen and I can't get up button. Sometimes they come in bracelet form or necklace form. I would definitely recommend something like that for all of my patients. So that could be another thing to look at if she had one. Did she activate it? I think there's so much in this investigation that we need to learn. The law enforcement may not share everything with us, but I think they're following up on all the leads you just suggested about the cameras from other locations, things like that.
Yeah, again, we're waiting for this press conference to begin. 1:30 was the start time. Why don't we do this? Let's slip at a commercial break here so that we can watch the entirety of it when we come back. So we'll get a break. When we come back, we'll head back to Pima County, Arizona for the latest on the search for Nancy Guthrie. Stay with us.
Tragic murder of Keith Canero and his entire family.
This one is the most brutal case that I've seen in my experience here.
The Mansion Murders Trial. Live coverage today on Court TV.
Tonight, on Closing Arguments, the latest in the disappearance of Today host Savannah Guthrie's mother. We're live bringing you every development in this investigation.
Closing Arguments with Vinnie Politan. Tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
We saw some things at the home that were concerning to us. We believe now, after we processed that crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime. We know she didn't just walk out of there. She did not leave on her own. Nancy Guthrie is of great sound mind. This is not a dementia related. She is as sharp as a tack, and we're asking the community's help.
Back to Court TV Live. Good to have you along with us. We're awaiting a news conference to begin in Pima County, Arizona. There's a live look inside the Sheriff's Department press conference area and the podium. We're waiting for an update on the search for Nancy Guthrie. You heard the sheriff from yesterday's briefing that she appears to have been taken from her home because this wasn't an 84-year-old who wandered off. She was sharp as a tack, and she had physical limitations which would have prevented her from going too far without the aid of others. And now the question is, where is she? What happened to Savannah Guthrie's mother? Savannah, of course, the co-host of the Today Show, former legal correspondent here at Court TV, a wonderful person for those that know her. I've had the pleasure of working a couple trials with her over the years, and she's just one of those true blue people, very religious family. Savannah posted on Instagram basically a plea for everyone to please help by praying for her mother, and as they wait for any sort of word. We're awaiting on this briefing. This could be a dramatic scenario where there are significant updates, or it could be we don't have much, but we're still looking for help from the public. We just don't know. There hasn't been much that's been leaked out. There goes the cameras moving a little bit there, so it looks as though we're very close to this beginning out there in the Tucson area. She was last seen by family members, Nancy Guthrie, evening of Saturday, around 9:30. She was dropped off at her house where she lives alone. By Sunday morning, when she hadn't shown up to church, the family was called. They went to the house, didn't find her, saw what was alarming, a few alarming things at the house, and that's where the search began. Okay, here's the sheriff. Let's go in.
Good morning. I don't know that everybody knows who's here. Of course, I'm Sheriff Chris Nanos. John Edwards is the Tucson chief here for the FBI, and he'll have some words for you as well. You know, this is really, for me, pretty new, all the media attention. So I apologize to you for sometimes I'm speaking in generalities, and I'm not used to everybody hanging on to my words and then trying to hold me accountable for what I say, but I understand. So we're going to try our best to be succinct with you in the future, and also more important for you to understand is we have a lot of work in front of us. We have a job to do, and we have someone's life who is in jeopardy. And so job number one is we got to find her, and we got to work hard to do that. I understand there's great attention on this, and rightfully so, and I appreciate it, and I thank you for it, because it has generated a lot of leads for us. And so we're tracking those leads, and we're doing things with evidence that you would expect us to be doing. So having said that, we're going to set this up. I know that a number of you yesterday, you guys drove me crazy. Yesterday I was going from a.m. to all the way to 9, 10, 11, midnight, answering concerns and questions, and it's just too tough. And it's not fair to the case. So what I'm going to tell you is today we're going to do this similar to what we're doing right now. Here we'll take questions. It's not really my briefing, it's your briefing. You'll be able to ask us some questions. We'll probably shut you off after a while because I just can't be here all day. We have work to do. But we'll take some questions, and then in a couple of days, breaks. We'll do this every couple of days. So, and we'll set up with you through our PIO teams to give you anything that comes up that might change, but clearly they will notify you on these, what I call media briefings. So with that, I'm going to ask John to come up. If you've got a statement to say, John, and then we'll take some questions and we'll get back to work.
Hello, I'm John Edwards. My spelling is Jonedwards. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge of the FBI's office here in Tucson. First, we want the community to know that the FBI is doing everything in our power to bring Nancy Guthrie home to her family. The FBI is working alongside the Pima County Sheriff's Department on this incident. In terms of what the FBI is doing, we are providing the following support. Primarily, it's analytical and technical support in the following ways. We're downloading and analyzing cell phones, obtaining cell tower information, conducting interviews, and providing any and all investigative support that the Sheriff's Department needs. We're looking at this from every angle, but we need your help. If you live in the area or saw something on Saturday night, the 31st of January, or Sunday morning, the 1st of February, please report it to the Pima County Sheriff's Department or the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. Every lead and tip is important. We are aggressively pursuing and looking into every single one. Again, please help us bring Nancy Guthrie home. Thank you.
We'll take some questions.
Sheriff, is there any indication so far as to whether this was a random abduction or targeted?
It's like I said earlier, you know, we're looking at all the leads, and we don't know. We're going to assume both sides of that. We'll look at both sides of that.
Do you have any idea what Nancy Guthrie was wearing, or the type of car that she might have left from, or any identifiable information that the public could use to help with those tips?
We do not.
Sheriff, do you believe that one or more than one person was involved in the kidnapping?
I just no clue. It could have been one. It could have been more. I don't know. Let me get one second.
Is there any indication that Nancy Guthrie is still alive? We know the medication played a critical role here. It's been 48 hours. She needs it every single day. Are you looking for someone that is still alive?
We hope we are. We hope we are.
Sheriff Nanos, you said earlier that you don't believe there's a wider threat to the public. If you're not sure if it's targeted, why do you believe there's no wider threat to the public?
Well, we have crime in Tucson all the time, right? Like any city. And so when you say a threat to the public, is there somebody out there who's kidnapping elderly people in the middle of the night every night? We've not heard that. We don't believe that's the case. We do believe that Nancy was taken from her home against her will, and that's where we're at.
Sheriff, when you reference violence at the site, can you elaborate on that? And also, was there a sign of forced entry, any valuables taken, any bank or ATM cards used after her disappearance?
We're not getting into that. What I'd tell you is, like any crime scene, we processed this crime scene. We gathered all the evidence we could, to include looking for what? Fingerprints, DNA, camera images, everything you can imagine, and we gathered that out. Those things have been submitted forward to labs, to technological companies to help us, and we're like you. We're waiting for those returns to come back.
Did you find DNA that did not belong in that house?
The window of time from when she was last seen to when she was reported missing, and I know you guys are asking for help from the public, is there any way to narrow down what time you might be helpful? I know there was a report about a pacemaker dinging like around 2 o'clock in the morning. Is there any way to indicate to people, hey, look around 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. to help them identify what they might have?
You know, I really don't want to get into narrowing down the time, because narrowing it down means we could miss some tips and leads. We're working on with the data we've submitted for investigative analysis. We're working to see if that time can be tightened up. But for now, we're going with what we told you earlier. She was dropped off at 9:30, and she was found to be missing at about 11 o'clock Sunday morning.
Sheriff,
Let me get this one first.
DNA of anyone else found in the house?
We've submitted all kinds of samples for DNA, and we've gotten some back, but nothing to indicate any suspects.
Anybody strange in the neighborhood? I know you're looking at video, different surveillance camera, anything that we should be looking out at, different cars?
I have nothing in that regard.
Have any demands been made by kidnappers?
We have all kinds of investigative leads we're working on.
Sheriff, we noticed that the camera on the front of the house is missing. Do you believe the perpetrator purposely took the camera?
Don't know that. We're looking into that as well. Yes, sir.
That scene been fully processed now? We saw deputies leave around 6 o'clock last night. We didn't see tape go up. You know, an Amazon driver was able to walk right up to the door. Is that pretty standard for how you handle this?
The scene is done. We're done with the residents. If we need to go back to get, maybe we want to do something with some other piece of evidence there, we contact the family and let them know.
All right, we're going to get a commercial break in here. We will send you right back to Pima County, Arizona for the latest on the search for Nancy Guthrie right after this.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Michael Ayala. We're following breaking news going on in Arizona. The Tucson, Arizona Sheriff's Department is giving a news conference on the search for the missing 84-year-old mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. Now, investigators in Tucson say they're still looking for Nancy Guthrie and that she was forcefully taken while she was sleeping. I want to get you back to that news conference now with Sheriff Chris Nanos.
Tire tracks or any footprints around the house?
No.
Was there Could you please take us through the timeline that you've established of the events so far and with as much detail as you can?
9:30, 9:45, we were told she was left at her home by the family. At 11 o'clock in the morning, the family got notice from somebody at church that she was not at church. They went to the home, found her to be missing. That's the timeline. From Saturday night, 9:45, we'll say, to Sunday morning, 11 o'clock.
Have you been
Let me get somebody back here, please.
Have you interviewed the people that reported her missing, the people from the church?
That's the family. Oh, from the church as well. We're doing all kinds of interviews, yes, I'm sure we have.
Have you been able to access the footage from the cameras at the house?
That's all been submitted, and we're doing our best with those companies who own those cameras or built those cameras.
Are there any plans to release those videos from the cameras, from the surveillance? Are there any plans to release the video from the cameras, surveillance footage?
We don't even have them yet, so no, not at this time. This is an active investigation.
There's a report of a suspicious man a few doors down last week. Is that anything that you guys are aware of?
I'm not aware of it. My detectives may be. There's a lot of detective work being done, and I just can't get into those weeds or even discuss with you what they may not have learned. Yes, ma'am.
Support from the board yesterday. Are there specific resources that maybe the board has not granted, that would have made a difference responding to this case?
Well, you know, that's getting into my own local politics. I apologize. Yes, the board a few weeks ago denied a request for more cameras, more drones, more AI capabilities with our own body-worn cameras. All those things, you know, you'd have to talk to the board. I'm not probably not the right time to go into this.
Sheriff,
let me get somebody else here.
Sheriff,
Yes.
do you believe she's still in this area?
Do we believe?
Do you believe she's still in this area, or is there somewhere else?
We don't know where she is. So we're like any investigation. You start from the point of where we last saw her, and we work out, and we're working as far out as we can go.
Sheriff, can you walk through the evidence found?
Forced entry at the house, like any broken windows or whatever? Does it seem like people just went in and out?
There were concerns at the house that concerned us from the early on part of this investigation, and that's all I will tell you. Yes, ma'am.
Sure. Is there any history with Nancy needing police at her place, or concerns where she was worried about somebody following her?
You know, our investigative team has looked into all of those things, and that has not been brought to my attention. So she may have had something like that, but I'm not aware of it.
What is the extent of collaboration with the federal government? Obviously, FBI is here, CBP. Are there other agencies also involved?
CBP's role within this was in our search and rescue mission, where we constantly use them. They have great dogs too. Our dogs aren't tracking dogs for this. Theirs are, and so they came out and did that. Anybody else though that we've asked for help from, whether it's the FBI, I know if we needed help from CBP or DEA or ATF, they would gladly give it. I've heard from leadership from all sorts of agencies, not just at the federal level, but across the state. Every one of them saying, Sheriff, you need anything, we're here.
Sure. So you obviously said investigators, when they got on scene, they found suspicious circumstances. When the family called originally to report her missing, did they say anything about the state of the home?
I don't know that. I don't know. Let me hang on. Let me make sure I'm getting some different people here. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so there was blood that was found inside the house and you're testing it for DNA. How much blood and where was it?
I'm not saying there's blood inside that house or outside that house. What I'm saying is our team processed a scene like you would think of any crime scene. We go in and we process it. We look for things like that: blood, DNA, any kind of physical evidence, fingerprints, anything. And all of that is gathered and submitted to a lab. That lab will report back to us what they find. So from that lab is nothing that would tell us this is who did this.
We'll take a couple more questions, and then the sheriff's got to go.
Sheriff, can you walk through the evidence that was found at the scene in as much detail as possible?
No, I cannot.
What is the bottleneck to the surveillance footage? I know you said some of it is in the cloud, but you've also been reached out to tech companies that are saying they're cooperating. Why do you not have the surveillance footage on media?
That's what I tell them. How come I don't have this? Where's my evidence? It is a process, and I'm sorry, but you know, we're grateful that there's large corporations and companies who have bent over backwards to help us, to say, hey, Sheriff, tell us what you need. And so, yeah, I can't slam them. And we've asked them. They know the urgency here, but I'm like you. What do you mean I don't know that now? Yeah, it's tough.
Follow up on an answer that you gave earlier. You were asked if there
Last question.
You were asked if there was any ransom, and you didn't say no. You said we're following all leads. Does that mean a ransom has come in?
We're following all leads we have. That's all I can tell you. We've got hundreds of leads, and it's from you that produce those leads by telling people we need help, and I'm grateful for that. But I'm not going to get into all that. We have a team designated to deal with all of our leads. They're looking into all of that. We are sharing all of our leads with the FBI. They are helping us in evaluating those leads, how good they are, where that priority should be, and so we're just. Look, I know you guys are doing your job, and you're doing a great job, but we have a job to do too, and I really need to back away from this for a while, and we'll see you, unless something breaks, we'll see you Thursday morning. PIO will give you a time frame, I'm guessing somewhere around 11:30.
That's it. Thank you.
I need your emails if you are.
All right, so that ends the news conference there. A very fluid situation now with the abduction, I guess we can call it, of Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Savannah Guthrie, the host of the morning show, former Court TV alum. Some new information coming out, but again, it is a fluid situation, and it feels as though the police are keeping some information close to the vest. Specifically, that last question about ransom, he said, we're following all leads, refused to specifically answer that question. Let me bring in Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson, who was watching along with us. Matt, what did you make of that? Again, as I said, it seems like they're being close to the vest, but some new information.
Close to the vest, but it also felt like a very different mood at that news conference than yesterday. This sheriff that came under fire for maybe answering too many questions, maybe sharing too many details, doing too many one-on-ones. He was very limited in the time that he gave the media today, and also saying he's not doing a news conference until there is new information or until Thursday, skipping over tomorrow, Wednesday. Here's what we know. Here's what stood out with that. He didn't answer any questions about forced entry and what evidence they collected inside the home. He said that there is details about a forced entry. He doesn't want to share details about what was collected, but there is DNA that is being examined. Details of whether or not that was blood, we still don't know. He said that there is some sort of camera footage that is also being reviewed at this point in time. We had the FBI that also made statements. That was John Edwards talking about cell phone data, and cell phone towers are being examined, nearby cameras. They're offering support. They're conducting a lot of interviews as well, and they're asking for the public's help. All of that we know. But the questions about the pacemaker, Michael, that was really critical, because the follow-up from the reporters in the room was, are you still searching for a live person? Do you believe that Nancy's alive?
Yeah, and again, being close to the desk wouldn't quite answer that question. You would answer some questions, so the omission does cause some concern. I want to bring in a guest. Joining us this hour, of course, is National Trial Attorney Michael Jaffer. Michael, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. I want to get your quick thoughts on what we just heard and this situation as it's unfolding.
Very bizarre. I didn't know what I was watching, earlier in the morning. It was very bizarre, very surreal. Savannah Guthrie, I have an opinion about her. She's a very, very tough news person, very, very accomplished. And so for something like this to happen is so, sad. I saw her, break down a few people in interviews, and I'm very impressed with the way she is. And so, to see something like this is just bewildering and hopeless. So I have no idea. I'm riveted to see how this rolls out, and I hope it rolls out in a nice way and they find her and everything is safe. I hope that happens, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no question. And it seems to me, Matt, he continues to appeal to the community. Yeah. And I think what's going to be important in this case is, of course, the help of the community.
Yeah. And that's the reason why they're asking for people to review their camera systems in that area, in that tight-knit community. But again, yesterday what we learned is that Nancy Guthrie could have already crossed state lines, that she was attacked in the middle of the night in her home. And today we were learning those additional details confirming the timeline in this situation. So she was last seen alive with her family members on Saturday. That was between 9:30 and 9:45 on Saturday. And then following Sunday, she was reported missing by family members at 11 a.m. So that's the time window that they're looking at. And that's also the area of the cell phone data that they're going to be reviewing, and possibly with her pacemaker, that we're hearing reports that were not confirmed through the sheriff today, Michael, that some are reporting that the phone or the attachment, the pacemaker that is connected to an app on her Apple Watch stopped working.
Yes.
So, and that's why there's questions about whether or not they believe that she's still alive.
Yeah, it's certainly a question. And Matt mentioned earlier, Michael Jaffer, that essentially the tone of this news conference was a little different from yesterday, which caused some concern. I think by the use of word that she was forcibly taken, this idea that her pacemaker no longer connected to her Apple phone. We all have something like that that's connected to a phone. Once it gets disconnected due to distance, that of course can be a problem. There may be some illness there that she needs medication for, and long past the time that she needs to take that medication. Mike, some final thoughts on what's happening out there in Arizona.
It was constricted. I I lost my breath when I heard that because, you think of any loved one, the forensics are showing you that the chance of finding this person alive is getting slimmer and slimmer. The fact that now they're saying she was forcibly removed and she was forcibly abducted and she needs medication to survive, very scary. I would not be happy if I was in the family. I'm really rooting for this woman, but this is very great reporting by Matt because it really puts color to how urgent the situation is. It's very urgent, so I hope it works out.
Yeah, it remains urgent. Matt, quickly remind us, what can we expect next? It sounds like we won't hear, or at least unless there's some breaking news, until Thursday?
Yeah, so we're waiting for any update with this case, and that's only going to be by way of if there's breaking news or if they need the public's help, urgency in a search or from information from that area. So what's next is on Thursday morning, there will be a scheduled news conference or an update, but of course, we'll keep you posted. And we hope that she's found before then, found alive. And anyone with any information is being called to ask the Sheriff's Department. We can put that number back on your screen, 520-351-4900, or this number, 520-882-7463. There's two different numbers.
Absolutely, and our thoughts and prayers continue to go out to the Guthrie family. Matt Johnson, thank you so much for keeping us abreast on that.